What's up, bitches?
All right.
Well, how's it going?
Intro.
Well, welcome everybody back to the X3 podcast. It's been a minute. I moved from Alabama to Georgia. Everybody's been busy. It's been kind of crazy. But here we are. We're back with some exciting news. Nissan has just yesterday released the prototype. It's a prototype, right? Not the actual car. Yeah. So they released what they're calling the Proto Z because it's a prototype of the new what is supposed to be the 400Z, I believe. So twin turbo V6 manual transmission. Can we just give a little applause to the manual transmission? But yeah, so anybody want to go through a little bit more of the specs, talk about how you feel about it, what's going on? What is S3 feeling about this new car?
So specs wise, there's not much.
Has
really
anybody read up on the?
One at a time, children.
You go first, man. We're going alphabetical order.
All right. All right. So spec wise, there's not too much out there. I mean, you've got twin turbo, like you said, V6, 6-speed manual. Outside of that, you got some weight and some height stuff. And the prototype is 98% of what's expected to be in full production. So it's pretty close to what we'll see eventually come out in 2022.
Oh, really? I thought I read 2021. Is that too
I'm
soon,
looking at the
Junior?
article right now. It's saying 2021 Nissan 400Z, but I don't think anybody knows for sure. That's just the article that I'm looking at right now on Car and Driver. What do you guys think about the styling of it, man? I think that rear quarter panel looks very 280Z-ish. I dig it.
It was,
and the
it was
rear.
very. Go ahead.
Well, the absolute back of it, the actual rear end reminds me a little bit of the iconic 300Z, which is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. So at first I saw it, and I remember Chris Forsberg, he posted it pretty much the same time that Nissan posted it, and I don't follow Nissan, so he was like, man, I love this thing, and I watched it, and I was like, man, this just ain't it. And then I talked to Wooly about it, and Wooly's like, I kind of dig it. So I really took some time and went through some of the photos of it. Went back and looked at some of the older cars, and it really started to grow on me because at first I was like, the rear end of this looks like a Mustang at first. But if you look at the two cars, it's really nothing alike. Like you said, it really is a combination of the 280 and the 300 for me, which is really, really cool. The front end of it, I definitely see 280. Everybody hates the little rectangular grill, but I think it's a big throwback to the 280ZX because if you pay attention to the side profile, the top, the nose kind of points out a little bit further than the bottom. Super 280. The only thing that I don't like is the headlights. The headlights could be much more aggressive.
They look a little weird, yeah.
Yeah, the headlights are a little Mazda-ish. If you look at the ND Miata, it's very similar to the headlights that are on the 400Z. So hopefully in the actual production version, they'll give a little bit more aggressive headlight, a little bit less chrome in them, maybe some black accents to kind of make it pop a little bit more and give it more of that sleek look that the Z should have. But other than that, I mean, I think it's a really cool car, and it's something. It's what the people asked for. The people, when they asked about the Supra, they wanted it to be, a continuation of the Mark IV. They wanted it to have that heritage, and then people pitched a fit when it wasn't that. And Nissan listened. They were like, okay, well, if Supra guys want this, then the Nissan guys have got to want this. So to really take a shot at them like everybody's doing and be so hateful about it, it's just Nissan listened. You got to be appreciative.
Just comparing it to other cars, like the GTR and the new Supra might be better cars and they might be faster, but I'm not interested in those because they're not real driver's cars, because they're not true manual transmission vehicles. I think I would rather have this, even if it does only make somewhere between 300 to 400 horsepower, because first of all, it's going to be a V6 twin turbo. It's going to be totally modifiable, and you're going to be able to make gobs of power if you need it. But I think it's just going to be a way funner car. Obviously, we have to wait and see, but just the fact that they're actually doing a true manual 6-speed is awesome. I'm pumped about it.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I have a little bit of a concern that it's going to be like one of those weird, like, eco manual transmissions like they put in like the Corolla. Hopefully it's not that. I don't think they would. I did hear, correct me if I'm wrong, but the V6 is the motor or the engine of the GTR, right? It is the GTR V6.
No, I don't think so. I think it's the one that's coming out of the Infiniti Q60.
Okay, so
that's what they're saying, which is a good motor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've never paid attention to that motor because it's in a Q60 without a manual transmission, so I could care less. I don't know. I think that I think they kind of nailed it. I do think that, you see the initial pictures online and there is kind of a warm-up period to it. But as it settles in, like, dude, I really dig it. I think that they nailed it with the manual transmission. I kind of don't give a shit what it looks like. I mean, it's twin turbo manual transmission, rear wheel drive. I'm not going to pick on the headlights or whatever. Having said that, I do think that you're going to see the front bumper get tweaked. It looks a little almost clay. Like in that picture, it doesn't look finished. I think you're going to see some sort of fit and finish done to it. Probably the headlights as well. I think the back is pretty dead on, minus maybe some tail or some exhaust pipe trim or something like that, some a little more accenting around there. I think the overall silhouette is killer. I think it's like you guys were saying, they nailed a lot of it without it looking like any one vehicle. Like I saw some S14 in the ass end of it. I saw S14. I saw a post where somebody was comparing the two. I was like, I'll be dang. Like, there's a lot of styling cues over the decades from Nissan in this car. I think it's lower than the 370. I believe it's wider and a little bit longer.
I think I read that it's like 5 inches longer.
I don't know if it's that much. Is it that much?
Yeah, Car and Driver said that it was.
I don't know, dude. I can just tell kind of by looking at it. I think it's going to be pretty striking. And then, like we said, major props for doing the manual transmission because kind of the ball's in our court now. Like everybody's complaining and passing on Supras and stuff, saying, well, they're not offering the manual transmission. And I know that they're saying they're going to in the Supra, but, Nissan came out and did it. So now it's on us to buy it. My only concern with the Z is it's going to be like the 350Z and the 370Z where they come out at like a $45,000. I think this one's going to be $45K.
Base. The base is going to be $45,000.
You gotta watch that depreciation on the Z's, man. They're not really exclusive. They make a crap ton of them. Yeah. And for that reason, they tend to depreciate pretty quickly. But I mean, you can't, you know what I mean? You can't let that be an excuse to forever not do anything. I mean, yeah, new cars are going to depreciate. That's part of it. What I would recommend.
New cars are also a little bit easier to get into.
That's true.
Because they're willing to do crazy financing and
so it just depends on how. Interest. Just depends on where you're at in life,
So, I'm gonna be really interested in a few years when that price drops. When you've got a lot of support from all these flagship shops that are spending on this to do their R&D and make their parts. I'm really interested to see where this goes in 5 years.
But the fact is that we, as the enthusiasts, have to buy it, or else these guys are going to stop making cars for us. Yeah, they finally went the whole way. We begged for it with the Supra. Yeah. They didn't deliver. We begged for it with the FRS. They didn't give us the turbo. Nissan is finally giving us all the facets that we asked for. Yeah. We got to buy it, or else they're not going to keep making these cars.
Yeah. I mean,
That's true,
it's
yeah.
what you guys listening have got to understand is like, I know that your social media news feed makes it seem like, car guys are like the epicenter of the world, but we're not. We're like the 7% of car buyers. And we're like the loudest
If that.
7% by far. We're always telling everybody what we want and what they need to do. And they do it. We find that one reason why we're not going to buy it. At some point, we got to support these cars coming out. Like, I get it if you didn't buy the Supra. You know what I mean? It's an automatic. Like, it's not what I wanted. This car, I do feel a little bit of pull, like a little bit of guilt. Or like,
Yeah.
well, it's time to shit or get off the pot here. You know what I mean? Like they did it. So I don't know, man. We'll see how that goes. We do need to support these cars for sure. We need to give them a reason to keep making them. I'm trying to think of what else, man. I don't know. I mean, bottom line, I'm stoked about the design. I think, man, it's got sexy hips, and they didn't go and do the Japanese thing and put a line, some sort of crease that uglified it, Like, I feel like the Supra's really kind of over-designed and proportionately odd, which normally I like, but you know what I mean? Like, and I don't know if you guys remember, I have that huge gripe because when you roll down the windows of a Supra, you get so much wind back that it rattles whatever's in your door panel. Like, that seems like a huge oversight to me. I feel like they phoned it in sometimes. I'm hoping that in this car we've had to wait for what, 11 years, close to 12 years.
When was the last Z redesign?
I don't know. I think Hunter was like 7. Like, it was a really long time ago. That car's been out for a hot minute. But Nissan, I saw a post from my buddy Andy Carter that was like, Nissan's been going through a lot of crap, and they managed to get this out, and it's done by Nissan, not some collaboration with a bunch of excuses on why they can't do a manual and they got to, collaborate with another company. So they're trying, man. Like, I give them credit for trying. I thought that they only made Altimas now. So this is kind of neat. My advice, like, if you're into the car, my advice would be to let yourself get into the car. Don't go join the damn Facebook pages, although I'm sure they're cool guys and everything, but don't oversaturate yourself. What's going to happen now is you've seen a prototype, and it could very easily be 8 months before. I'm probably going to lose you guys, man. My lights are flickering.
Oh.
There it is.
There is a pretty gnarly storm rolling through right now, so I'm guessing that's probably what.
Oh, damn.
Well, guys, we lost Wooly tonight. It's a really sad day.
I mean, okay, we can kind of see where you're going with that. I mean, if you get so deep into hearing everybody's opinion on it and you let that stain on your shirt, it just go with how you feel about it. We've said it already. I mean, this checks all the boxes. If this is what you want, if you're one of us who's been asking for this for years, like, this is your chance. Like, I mean, I'm interested to see where this goes in 5 years, but if in 5 years we're not giving back to the industry from our side of it, 5 years, this is good. This is not going to go anywhere. It's going to stop right here.
It's easy to get dissuaded by, pros online who want to tell you what you should think about a certain vehicle. I'll tell you this, the Honda Civic Type R that we built last year and I now have, when I drove it stock, it sucked. It was not good. It was not fast. I'm sure it would have been fun on the track, but it was nothing special. I never would have, if I was the one paying, I never would have gone, here's $36,000. Thank you very much. Never would have happened. But now that we've put a couple of mods on that car and it really came to life, man, unbelievable car. This Z will be the same way. Even if they do put that Q60 motor in there and it's only making 300 horsepower from the factory, don't worry. It's just a boost controller, a fuel pump, and an exhaust away from probably 450. So it's going to be fun.
He's back.
I feel like
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome back to the club, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know what I missed, so that makes it awkward. But yeah, you finished my thought.
Yeah.
Go
I
ahead.
think so.
Well, I feel like, Mike probably knew where I was going with that, because we've talked about that kind of stuff before. But yeah, if you're into the car, don't let the internet ruin this for you, because it's going to be probably 8 months before you actually can go into a dealership and buy one. And in this next 8 months, you're going to see the Rocket Bunny kits. You're going to see it photoshopped stance. You're going to see it photoshopped, drift. You're going to see every sort of version you can ever see. And then you're going to start to see companies get their hands on it, whoever it is, different companies in the aftermarket will get their hands on one before everybody else. And they'll start dumping obscene amounts of money. Well, not really, because it's just connections with people in the industry. By the time the car comes out, you're going to be like, shit, I don't even want one anymore. So yeah, my advice is, if you're really into this car, try and like pull back a little bit and let your excitement build, and don't let the internet kill it for you before it even gets here.
Yeah. And the cool thing about coming on board, because I kind of did it with the ST in the way, I'm sure Willie did the same. When you come into a platform that's fresh and you're living the like the development as it happens, like when you get the car and there's nothing available, and then all of a sudden like one brand comes out with an exhaust and you're like, oh shit, like I'm the first one to get this, or whatever. It's really cool to experience that and see the platform grow, whether or not you keep the car. It's just something cool to be a part of. So yeah.
Looking back at this from an even broader scope, if you guys remember, I guess it was probably 2015 or so, when we saw the American Muscle Wars starting back up again, where everybody was bringing out their flagship car, going retro styling, bigger horsepower numbers, stuff like that. I almost feel like we're starting to see that on the imports now. Everybody's kind of, starting to line up their fighters for the battle. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Well,
this might be just one ship that's falling, and a lot more coming our way. But we got to buy the car if we want them to actually do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I do feel that, and I didn't mention it because I feel like I don't really know how to like verbalize it yet, but I feel like there's something about this car that is showing us kind of some design cues for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's something about it, and I don't know where it is yet, but I feel like there's some stuff going on with that design that I really think could kind of become design trends for the decade. I was kind of studying it side by side next to a Mustang. I mean, yeah, Mustang's entry point is a lot cheaper, but you start to get a decked out premium GT and it gets up to that 40K price range real quick. Yeah. And if you just look at like the designs, like for the first time in a while, like Japan has kind of put it down on that Mustang. Like it kind of looks cleaner in a lot of ways. Like I said, that nose doesn't look finished to me, but you know what I mean? There's certain things that I'm just like, wow, like I feel like it's back in the 90s again, where I'm like, wow, they're kind of mopping up the floor design-wise. There's just a lot of flowy, fast-looking lines on that car. On the Z that aren't interrupted with a crease. Have you noticed that in Japan auto styling for like the past 15 years? They're like, beautiful line, and let's put a funky cross, whatever, diagonal crease in it for no good reason, and stuff like that. So I think that's cool. And with the 370Z, you try and compare the 370Z to like a Mustang GT or a Camaro SS, and it's like, dude, they're going to beat up on that 370Z like it's a little middle school kid, and now it's like, well, twin turbo V6 is game on, like now that car is going to have more affordable aftermarket potential than a Mustang, because unless you do like what Mike did and immediately throw a damn supercharger on it, like, I mean, bolt-ons aren't going to get you as far on the Mustang as they're going to get you on that Z. So yeah. I think it's going to be a serious contender. I really do. And kind of a sweet spot price range,
Yeah.
Not that $45,000 is a sweet spot, but I'm just
I feel like you can tell
that's what they are.
I feel like you can tell they're trying to keep that price, competitive, because if they're using the same motor that they're putting, what you said in the Q30?
Q60.
Q60. Yeah. I mean, it's smart to to put parts in your car that you're already building. You know, you're not doing a whole new development plan.
Yeah, it's kind of good. It's not a
and it
brand new
has
motor
to
'cause
be
you get
around there.
brand new motor problems too.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
know
it's a little bit sorted.
if you're local to Atlanta and you might be familiar, and you're a Z guy, you might be familiar with the shop Z1 Motorsports. They have I follow them on Instagram, and I've noticed over the past year they have a shop Q60 that they've been, messing on, playing with the tune, upgrading some stuff, and that car is bad. It sounds crazy. It hauls ass. It is nothing to mess around with. So I'm excited to see that motor in a much lighter chassis with a manual transmission. It makes me super stoked. I also, it happens every time a car is released. Nobody likes it. Everybody has their complaints. Is this just a new thing with modern cars, or did people do the same thing with the 280 when it first came out?
Well, the thing is, back then you didn't have the internet for all the assholes to just kind of spread their opinions.
Yeah,
You
that's
read
true.
a magazine and you went, I freaking like that. I'm going to go to work and save some money and buy it. Or you went, nah, not for me. You could tell your wife over dinner if she gave a shit. But other than that, there wasn't the discussion. You did what you wanted to do. Now everything is a giant, social media post of what do you think about this? I don't care what you think about it, to be honest. And that's the problem, is that the reality of this social media world is that you have 18-year-old kids that can actually sway the decision of potential real buyers.
Yeah.
Because 18-year-old kids are all over, and I'm just using that as a generic, but you know what I mean? Non-buyers are all over the internet talking about why they wouldn't buy it, and it puts doubt in the head of a potential real buyer. That's why I said a minute ago, man, if this car is kind of lighting your pants on fire a little bit, back off the internet about it. You know what I mean? Because the internet in this waiting period is going to freaking ruin it for you if you're not careful.
Yeah, they're going to go nuts.
And look, I mean, dude, I'm like Mr. Salty about new cars, and I'm all about this thing. I always feel bad because, we test and review these new cars, and I'm always like, kind of sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks. And I feel bad because I'm like, am I being just one of those negative damn automotive journalists that has to find the flaws? And I'm like, no, I'm not. They're not making cool cars, and so this one is, man. We don't have a lot to choose from, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
If you want a fun car that's a manual, what do you have? You have a Type R, you have a STI, you have a 370Z. What am I missing? Not much.
Muscle stuff.
Not much.
Muscle stuff, and that's about it.
Stuff, yeah.
Not the
but
new
yeah,
muscle
under
stuff.
that 50,000 mark, there's not a lot,
Yep.
So you're not going to hear me say anything bad about this car. I don't give a shit what the front bumper looks like, or people are hating the rear. I think the rear is kind of sexy.
I'd take the rear.
But I think what matters is it's a rad rear-wheel drive, forced induction car that's going to respond really well to aftermarket mods, including the visual ones. So if you don't like the front bumper, just wait. If the front bumper, for example, comes out and is ugly, there is going to be a wide array of choices that you can put on that thing to make it unugly. So I wouldn't worry about that. That's what tuning's about.
I mean, it's fair to say that it's not going to, any new car is not going to please everyone, but I feel like they've gotten it to the right point, and they left room for the aftermarket to kind of play with it a little bit. So where you're not getting it where we might not get it with the horsepower, like you mentioned, Mike, I think that's fine. I think, giving your customer a little bit of room to kind of get excited and play with, because once you get, if you start off at 400, that's one thing. But if you're at, 300 and you pull out another 100 out of there, that's exciting. That's the kind of energy that invigorates us from the start.
Yeah, it's fun to put a couple of mods on a car and see it really come to life. Sorry.
Yeah. Leave enough on the table to where you can do your intake, your exhaust, your intercooler, and put a tune on it and start blowing these things up. because then they'll get a ton of buzz. Not literally blowing these things up, but I mean blowing them up like
don't
boom, you
don't
do
go
this, you
the
get another
Subaru
70
route.
horsepower. Yeah. But yeah, if you can, do that whole EcoBoost and GTI formula where you throw a couple mods in a tune and you get 100 horsepower, then it's going to be on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. That's kind of where I am with it. I'm kind of excited. We've had some exciting cars this year, actually, if we kind of run it back and think about it. Like the Bronco was dope. The Cybertruck was something.
That's exciting.
It's totally polarizing. I love it. But you know what I mean? It's getting people like excited, man. It's getting people talking. So, yeah, man. I don't know. I'm just glad that we're getting another Z for crying out loud. I was wondering if that was
years.
Because I was never really interested in the 350 or the 370 just because it didn't have forced induction and there were so many of them. But this one I dig, man. This one I'm like starting to go through the process of, okay, we could sell the Mustang and go get one of these, the new project car.
Well, that's how you know, dude, because immediately I'm thinking S3 needs one of these. Like that's how you know it's good. Like, the 350, 370, they're cool, but they came out, they're fairly expensive. They're non-turbo, so it's easy to pass. Now, when they get used, and they get cheap, they become very enticing. Yeah. But this one has actually got me interested to go kick tires in a dealership.
Yeah. And the 370 was a good track car kind of right out of the box, especially if you just put a couple of little suspension mods on it. If they, put that same work into this thing, this could be a Type R beater,
Potentially, yeah. It's exciting. Anybody else got anything to add, or are we pretty much covered on this one?
No, I'm in
awesome
it.
car. Go buy it.
My only advice is, you guys on the internet, don't go freaking ruin this, man. Like, it's the whole little meat. Let people enjoy things.
It's like, I know you're going to do it.
Let them get excited. If you don't like it, we don't care.
Yeah, in 5 years, I don't want to hear everybody.
Yes.
I don't want to hear everybody complaining in 5 years on what manufacturers aren't doing, because this is what they're doing right now. This is what you've been asking for.
Yeah, this car's right in all the right ways. Everything we've been asking for: manual transmission, forced induction, decent power, good lines. The only thing I don't like about it, as a dad, I don't think it's going to have a back seat. No, that sucks. But whatever. Coupes are awesome.
I do also want to give an ad to whoever is marketing the Z Proto, because the initial teaser that they released, if you have not seen it, you should go look at it. It's just basically, it's a silhouetted version of the car. You hear an engine fire up. They made sure to point out, like, hey, it's not electric, here's an engine. And then, like, there's a light that shines on the gearbox, and then you see a guy reach down and put it into first gear, like showing the manual transmission, and that was it. Like, that was.
They know what they're doing.
Them going, it's manual. Here you go. So whoever's idea that was sick, because I was like, yes. Versus, the Supra, they probably avoided the gearbox. They're like, oh, they're gonna be pissed.
I'm just so tired of hearing why you didn't or couldn't put a manual transmission in a car. You know what I mean? We keep hearing that from people. Oh, well, we couldn't because of the chassis. It's like, dude, I'm over it, dude. And it's running people off. I mean, obviously, it's killing the sports car. So hopefully this will keep the sports car alive, and hopefully it will make other manufacturers kind of look at its success and copy it. So, all right. Well, Hunter, tell them about our magazine, because there's that.
Oh, yeah. We were supposed to do that in the beginning. We always forget to do it in the beginning.
We sure do.
Anyway. Yep. Okay. Well, if you're still here hanging out with us, check that out. That is our most popular cover. We got the new cover. Look at all these guys throwing covers up. And then a sticker. And a shirt. Okay, guys, so www.s3mag.com. You can find a 2-year subscription to S3 Magazine. If you don't know who we are for some reason. We are a print magazine based out of Atlanta, Georgia. We do cool race car stuff. At least we'd like to think we do. And we cover it in the magazine. So 2 years for $20, plus you get a free T-shirt. I believe Woolie's wearing the T-shirt. Woolie, show him the T-shirt. There, that's his nip. Yeah,
No,
so 2 years. You get the magazine for 2 years for $20, plus that T-shirt for free. Trust me, we're losing money on it, so you might as well do it before we have to go out of business because of it. But we do the YouTube thing, the TikTok thing, the Instagram, all of that you can find in the description. But other than that, guys, thank you for listening to this episode of the S3 podcast. We will see you next time.